On this video we have a brand new turbo sent to us by MaXpeedingRods, and I'll tell you, we've seen a lot of turbos on this channel, but we haven't seen this one yet. Alright, so here we have the MaXpeedingRod package. Let's take a look. We got a lot of bushings, got a lot of things here. Owner's manual gaskets, and you got the turbo. Let's pull this puppy out. There she is. That's a big mamba jumbo. Look at that thing. Whew. And that wheel, that's money right there. Let's go ahead and talk about this puppy a little bit more, get some more info on it. All right, one of you guys is gonna win a turbo, so watch the whole video because there's a giveaway at the end of the video. You don't want to miss it. So here we have the MaXpeedingRods turbo unboxed. We're just gonna run through what's included. You got the installation instructions, pretty detailed and in different languages, so that's something definitely you want to take a look at. And it gives you some diagnostics in case you're having issues with the turbo. Speaking of diagnostics, here you go, another troubleshooting guide for your turbo. And you know, this is their pamphlet. MaXpeedingRods since 2006. They make many different products. I've ran their coilovers before, I've had their turbochargers before, and yeah, connecting rods. I mean, if you guys have cars where MaXpeedingRods provides parts for your car, I definitely recommend checking them out. They have a lot of products. They're budget friendly for people that don't want to spend an arm and a leg just to have some fun and modify their car. Anyway, shipping. Let's talk about shipping. Box comes in pretty good and well packaged. As you can see, they got double cardboards, and even the top and bottom has a cushion. As you can see, a foam cushion, so the turbo comes in safe. Now let's talk about this turbo a little bit and which turbo did we decide to go with. Yes, we got the street version. Got the better version with the aluminum forged wheel. It's just gonna help create the boost a little bit sooner due to it being lightweight and forged. Now I'm gonna tell you guys the specs of this turbo, but the reason we got this turbo, because this is one of the few turbos that actually comes with this part right here, which is essentially your internal wastegate. I wanted a turbo that is bigger than the TB25 that we currently have on the Turbo Civic, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be complicated when I'm going to be installing it and plumbing it. As you guys know, if you guys buy a big turbo, most likely it's going to be an external wastegate. So again, this is one of the few turbos that actually has that internal wastegate flap, as you can see right over there. So it makes it a better package. Essentially, there's less plumbing involved, and it's a better fit for tight engine components and compartments, and you don't have to worry about external wastegates and plumbing it back into the exhaust. So this is why I went with this turbo, and we're gonna break it down just a little bit more here shortly and tell you about the specifics of this turbo. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know MaXpeedingRods has a lot of turbos and a lot of them are internally gated. However, this is the only MaXpeedingRod turbo that is internally gated going into a V-band with this adapter. And again, that's the beauty of it. And this V-band is a 2.5 inch internal diameter and I believe a 3.1 inch external diameter. So it really makes just installing and making a nice custom downpipe off the turbo very easy. And the cool thing is they also include the mating surface right over here for your downpipe. So as you can see, aligns really well. They provide a V-band clamp for the installation, and that's really nice of them to include this, so you don't have to search around which V-band mounts male to female that you need. Again, comes with a gasket for the manifold, oil feed and an oil drain gasket. Here is the V-band right over here. This is a journal bearing, just to let you guys know, And if you look through the oil feed, you can actually kind of see the bearings in there, and it looks like there is no oil restrictor. However, that oil restrictor was in the box, so you definitely probably good bet to install this to restrict some of that oil feed, because right now, not sure if you guys will see it in the light, it's just an open hole, which is, in my opinion, way too big. I know journal bearings, you are supposed to let a lot of oil through there, but no, that will flood. So unless you get a fitting with a restrictor or run this restrictor in the turbo, you know, you definitely want to tackle that so you don't have oil smoking and other issues. Other features about this turbo is that it actually has, you know, this straight turbo has better metals, and these metals resist temperatures better than your base model turbos. So yeah, better coatings, higher temperatures for higher performance, and they actually have the turbine seal has a high speed oil seal. So that's a good thing, because with these journal bearings, I've noticed a lot of times you will get oil consumption going into the turbine, and you know, eventually that oil will start seeping out the turbo into the downpipe, and you get smoking issues. So I'm hoping those seals are working as advertised, and they do a really good job. As you can see, the turbo has been machined and balanced, as you can see by the shavings of the metal right over here, and it spins really freely. So that's a good thing. If you get a turbo out of the box that doesn't spin like this for a journal bearing, I'd be wary. I did check the in and out play, very minimal, as you can see, very minimal in and out play, which is perfectly normal. It's not touching the housing, and once the oil will circulate through that engine and lubricate it, there will be no play. There is no in and out shaft play, which again is something that you definitely want to avoid. It's got a T3 housing, so let's talk about that housing. It's a T3 housing, and you can definitely port this out. There is plenty of room to port this flange even more, just to help benefit you and airflow. If you actually take my T25 gasket and compare it on the TB25, I mean, you could see how much smaller the T25 gasket is versus the T3 gasket. Here is a side-by-side comparison showing the restriction of the T25. It's just meant for smaller applications and for less power. Also with these, the cool thing is, if you ever tried to port a internal wastegate turbo, a normal wastegate turbo, it's a nightmare, because you can't really just, because when you port, you got to hold that wastegate flap open and try to port a perfect circle. But with this setup, if you remove this flange, you have just a straight shot at porting the turbo. And any journal bearing turbo, any internally wastegated turbo, I highly suggest you guys port out and open it up, because that flap that you see right over there is way bigger than the actual port. So you kind of want to port match that flange. That way you control boost better, you regulate everything, you won't get boost spikes. Trust me, that's definitely something you want to do. And I'll overlay some videos of how this turbo looks like without the flange. But all in all, great little turbo. Let's talk about the specs real quick. It's a 0.63 AR hot side with a 0.50 compressor side. So it's got a good balance between quick spool up and a good top end. And this turbo is perfect for anybody that's looking for a 4-cylinder turbo build. This is going to work on anything from 1.5 liters probably all the way to like a 2.5 liter. And they say on the website this is good for 420 horsepower, so it definitely can push some air. Now the question is, how much air do you want to push? The internal wastegate, from my research, usually runs about 8 to 10 pounds of boost on the factory turbo here. So, you know, with 8 to 10 pounds of boost, you definitely can push some power. more than enough to blow a stock Honda Civic engine. So you definitely want to have your supporting mods ready to go. They did come with covers. The turbo did come with covers both on the inlet and the outlet for the compressor. However, like before, you know, they didn't put a cover on the oil feed, which kind of a little disappointed for. I wish they put oil feed cover on here, just not to get anything in that turbo. And again, nothing with the oil drain as well. And you can see right over here that assembly lube that they provide, which is always good, just so that turbo doesn't seize up. One interesting fact also about this turbo, it's only oil cooled. As you can see from my previous turbo, I had ports on the side of it for water cooling. This turbo is only oil cooled, and I'm okay with that. Actually, I probably prefer that this day and age. I've had the TB25 turbo that I ran, and I've ran it with oil and water and just water, and actually now I'm just running it on oil itself. It's easier to plumb, and actually when I ran the turbo with the coolant lines in there, and the way the coolant lines were routed, they actually were sucking in more hot air than without the cooling lines. So again, very simple turbo, very efficient turbo, again with the practicality of having a V-band on here, an internal wastegate, good AR sizes. I think it's a great all-around turbo. So if you guys are interested in something like this to slap on your vehicle, definitely check out MaXpeedingRods. I'll have the links in the description. I'll have promo codes if you guys are interested in checking them out. But yeah, a lot of people have ran this turbo. I think this turbo right now it's renamed on their website, but this is essentially the T3 T4 turbo with the internal wastegate, and a lot of Mazda Miata guys were running this turbo. And originally I passed on this turbo a few times when I saw it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like this external adapter here for the wastegate. But now, since we're doing the turbo engine build with the forged rods and pistons, this actually is a light in the darkness for me, because it has all the criteria I need for the power, for the ease of installation. And I was looking for bigger turbos that were V-band clamps, and I'm telling you, nothing I could find online was really an internal gate like this going to a V-band. So check out MaXpeedingRods, guys, if you are interested. Again, and thank you MaXpeedingRods for hooking it up and trusting us in the build. Really appreciate you guys, and I really like the products that you guys come up with for the everyday enthusiast. All right, now you're interested about the giveaway. Well, this is how the giveaway is gonna work. I'm gonna have all the details in the description, so make sure you check out the description. But long story short, what you need to do is support your boy. If you've been watching the build, the progress, the growth, well, let's keep it going. If you purchase something from BigCartel.bullikid and purchase a couple shirts, you're gonna be entered in to win this free turbo from MaXpeedingRods. And if you really want this turbo, what are you waiting for?
Eight rounds in the 45 and go down. 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Yeah. 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Yeah. Look, I was passing aggression, passive aggressiveness. I left him hanging like loose ties as loose ties. I do not, he begging to go or not. Depends on the situation. He going up like inflation. Fuck all the haters that said that he couldn't make it. My brother drowned in the lake. How could all you people mistake it? He fought hard for what he had. Murderers holding guns. You worried about all the extra till water gets in your lungs, nigga. Hey, how could you do this shit? How could you do this when you know I'm going through this shit? Real shit, G shit, I really do this shit. I ain't about it, but you know I'm walking through this shit. Look, 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Look, 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Look, 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Yeah, 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Yeah, 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. 8 rounds in the 45 and go down. Yeah.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cool.